Project for today is going to be this John Deere 316 with the snowblower on it. This is my snow blowing tractor, but the front wheels, these treads on here just do not get very good traction at all in the winter time, so I'm going to switch to some more aggressive style tires on there. And then it's been sitting all summer, so we got a mouse nest under the hood that we got to deal with. You can kind of see it underneath the air cleaner assembly here, back in there. It's just mostly looks like some fiberglass insulation. They didn't get under the cover here, so it should be fine for cooling anyway, but I'm going to take the air hose and blow that out quick before we get started on them tires. So I got the mouse nest cleaned out of there. It ended up pretty clean in there. It was just on top here and then a little bit in this tube here that goes up to the exhaust, but nothing major like down in the fins or anything, so that's good. We don't have to take anything off here. But now we can start on the tires. This is what's currently on there, and this is what I'm gonna put on there. These are off of a older MTD snowblower. A lot of the bigger snowblowers, if you got like a 10 horse or above, they had these bigger tires on them. These were the 16 by 6.5 by 8 tires. It's a little bit taller than what I had on there, which is kind of a good thing because I get a little bit more lift off of the snowblower, which I need because it doesn't lift real high. So we'll get to taking these ones off the rims, and then we'll get to tearing them off of the mower once we get that done. These have a snap ring holding the front wheels on. That one off of there. We'll get that swapped over. This one has a tube in it, so makes it a little bit more difficult, but I think being that that tube is good, we'll throw that back in. Just gives an extra barrier for not getting punctured, or if they get weather cracked, it doesn't matter. The tube will still hold air usually. So I'm just using a Harbor Freight, one of like their $50 tire changers. The bead breaker is pretty much all I'm using on these. It doesn't fit on these, or the little tires don't fit on this, so. Usually these little tires, the beads break pretty easy, but if they don't, you just gotta work your way around them. There we go. I did have to do some repairs on this tire changer. I used it for about 5 years and I finally bent this piece, so ended up having to weld a piece of angle iron in there. And that strengthened it up enough that I haven't had any problems with it since. So I usually start on the side of the rim that has the valve stem. It's usually the shallower side of the rim. There's a deeper groove on the backside usually on a lot of them. It can be reversed sometimes, but I just make sure this side is low and pull up on this side. This one I'm being a little more careful I don't hit that tube in there. But you really need good tire irons too. That makes a huge difference. This one is fairly good size. I think it's like 22 inches or something like that long. So that makes it a lot easier, and it has the really nice spoon on the end versus if you're just trying to use like pry bars or something. And then I just work my way around, stabbing it in and pulling around. Usually don't want to take more than like an inch or two each each time you go to pull, and that pops off. And this one's got the tube in there, so now is when we got to pull the tube out. If you can get the valve stem out first, then you can usually pull, the rest will follow. Go. And if you're going to reuse it, you just want to make sure there's no dirt or anything on it too much, because that can sit and rub and cause a hole in it. Once you get it that far, and turn it around, then I'll stick the tire iron in here and pry backwards. And usually just take like a rubber mallet or a rubber dead blow and hit the tire. And it'll come right off. A lot of people think that the smaller the tire, the easier it is to change, but actually it's kind of the opposite. This one's an 8-inch, so it's not too bad, but you get down to like the 4-inch ones and they can get pretty hard to maneuver, especially if they have a tube in there. You gotta get your hands in there and stuff. So this one's about as small as you go before they start getting more difficult. Another thing is you want to make sure that the bead is clean around here so it doesn't end up leaking if you're not putting a tube in it. But either way, I usually clean these up. So I just take a wire wheel and clean this one up quick. Also, any rust spots that are in the middle of the rim, that can rub on the tube and cause holes in it too if it's sharp. So I usually try to wire wheel them down so they're smooth too. And anywhere basically in the rim that tube will be rubbing. So then we'll get started. We'll put the tire on there halfway, and then we'll put the tube in and go from there. Another thing that helps is putting some lubrication on the bead of the tire before you start trying to put it on. You can do it taking it off too, but I just find it messy and it's usually easier to just lube it as you're putting it on. But this is just like Dawn dish soap mixed with water. Sometimes you can just hammer them in if you work your way around. This one went a little ways, but we'll have to use the tire spoon. There we go. Now we'll put this tube in. I usually try to get it in the tire first, and then I'll work on getting it around the rim. Get the valve stem started. And then work the tube around. And I usually start putting it on the opposite side of the valve stem. You want to make sure that that doesn't get pushed down in there as you're going. Sometimes you have to take quite a bit on the first bite just to get it started, because it'll want to walk back and forth and not really get anywhere. And like it's trying to do now. And it's starting to go. Then I usually take my light and look around, make sure that the tube isn't pinched anywhere. You'll be able to see it sticking through sometimes. And before I air it up, I usually spray a little more lube around it so the bead can slide easy. I'll put the valve stem core in and air it up. Looks like the bead went sealed all the way around. This one should be good to go. You'll notice that this one had tire slime in it. So it's kind of all nasty. I kind of suspected that since that one never leaked. The other one went flat. I did put the tube in that one, but this one had never leaked since I owned it. So I figured, being the age of the tire, it had something in it keeping it from leaking. But this is what it does to your rims. It ends up rusting them. It holds moisture in the rim like that. They claim it doesn't rust the rims, but you always find rust in these when you change them if they've had the slime in there for too long. So I've said it on some of the videos before, slime has its place if you plan on never changing that tire again. It's just something to get you by. It's no big deal and it does work, but I don't usually recommend it just because you bring it to a tire shop and they'll usually charge you extra, or you'll end up wrecking the rim and having to buy a new rim, so it costs more in the long run than just having a tube put in it when it's got a hole in it or something, or a new tire on it. So I'll get this one cleaned up and then we'll keep going. Well, we got them both changed. Let's throw them on here and see how it looks. I kind of went back and forth on whether I wanted to put them on this way or forward. So I got them on backwards right now. But these are not drive tires, it's just for steering. So I don't know which way I'll get the best traction, but I can just swap them side to side if I decide I don't like it this way. So I'll just have to wait until the first time we get snow and snow blow with it this way and see if I like it. I think that's a pretty significant upgrade to what we had on there. So it should be better no matter which way I end up having them on, because those other ones would just slide terrible. You couldn't steer at all. So we'll get it outside and take it for a little spin, and then we'll probably be done with this one. I was just checking the transmission oil on this before I went and took it for a drive. I just thought I'd show you real quick. If you've ever put oil in one of these, I think the 316, 317s and stuff are all the same, but they have a little filler neck right here, and the top just pops off. You fill through there, and it's painstakingly slow. It takes forever to even put a half a quart in. But back here, there's a little sight glass right there, and you can see the level halfway up. That's about where I try to keep it, is halfway or 3/4 up on the sight glass there. It's just regular automatic transmission fluid that you run in them. I usually just run the all makes, all models transmission oil, or the transmission fluid. I don't know what these are actually supposed to have, but this thing's so old and has so many hours on it, I don't think it matters too much. And it's got some leaks, so whatever's cheap I run in it. As you can see, the hour meter here, I don't know if you can see that very good, but it's got 1,689 hours on it. And it's got that Onan engine in it. I think it's like a 18 horse, even though it's the 316, it was still 18 horse owning in there. But we'll take it out and see how it drives with these new tires. Well, they seem like they work good. I was doing some pretty tight turns in the just in the dirt, but we'll see how they work when it gets snowy and stuff. But for now, it seems like they actually grab pretty good. They toss some dirt when you turn hard, so that's what I was looking for. But you'll probably see a couple videos of this winter of snow blowing with it. Got that weight box on the back. I don't really put anything in it, just the weight of the box is actually pretty heavy, so just that hanging off the back helps a little bit. It's got the wheel weights too, and then these are just trampoline springs. Actually work really good for holding the chains on, so I've been using those for a few years. It's better than the bungee cords that rot out on you. But that's gonna do it for this one. If you like this sort of thing, like the videos and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.